They say there are places that don't exist on maps. Places that were erased from history for a reason.
They said a landslide buried this place.
A lie.
My Geiger counter says so. And so does the ghost on the radio. 40 years of silence. Until last week.
Deep in the forests of the Northern Urals, I found one of those places. Official records claim this area was evacuated in 1984 due to a landslide. But last week, an encrypted distress signal started broadcasting from these exact coordinates. A signal that had been silent for 40 years. I had to know what was down there. The forest was hostile, fighting me with every step. My GPS died miles back, and my compass was spinning erratically. The only guide I had was the radio signal, a rhythmic pattern cutting through the static. The locals call this region the Dead Zone. According to rumors, a Soviet geological team discovered something underground during the Cold War. A cavern system that defied the laws of physics. They built a secret laboratory to study it. Then one day, all communications ceased. The facility went dark, the entrance was destroyed, and the entire research team vanished without a trace. I almost missed it. Hidden beneath decades of overgrowth was a collapsed entrance, carefully disguised to look natural. But when I cleared away the debris, I found a narrow fissure leading down into the earth. Cold air rushed out, carrying the metallic smell of old machinery and something else I couldn't identify.
I am the
The
first
natural
to
cave
return.
was just camouflage.
A natural cave system.
Within meters,
Another
the rough
lie.
limestone walls transitioned into smooth concrete. This was man-made. At the end of the tunnel stood a massive steel blast door, sealed and abandoned. The locking mechanism was frozen with rust, but after several attempts, the ancient seals finally broke. The door opened with a hiss of pressurized air that hadn't moved in 4 decades. Inside was a time capsule, a Soviet underground laboratory perfectly preserved in the moment of its abandonment. Dust-covered equipment lined the walls, and the papers were scattered across floors as if dropped mid-sentence. Coffee cups sat on desks, their contents long evaporated. Whatever happened here, the people left in a hurry and never came back. The radio signal was stronger now, leading me deeper into the complex. Most doors were rusted shut, but I found one hanging open. Inside was a control room filled with vintage Soviet technology. And in the corner, impossibly, one machine was still running. An amber screen glowed in the darkness, displaying corrupted text that repeated over and over. Warning. Depth reached. Containment breached. Do not go below. Next to the console, I found a logbook. The final entry was dated March 15th, 1984, written in increasingly frantic handwriting. The geologists had drilled down over 4,000 meters and discovered an anomaly. Something that wasn't geological. Something alive. A scientist named Doctor Volkov went down alone to collect samples. The log said he came back different, that something was wrong with his eyes. They sealed off the lower level and requested immediate evacuation. The last line read, "We can hear it now. It knows we're here." The sentence ended abruptly. The pen dragged across the page, as if the writer had been pulled away mid-thought. Behind the control room, I discovered a metal staircase, descending into complete darkness. Level 3. The access door had been forced open, but not from above. The heavy steel was bent outward, as if something with incredible strength had pushed through from below. Deep gouges scored the metal surface. My Geiger counter was going haywire, but this wasn't radiation. It was electromagnetic interference of a kind I'd never seen. The signal was coming from down there. Every survival instinct told me to leave, but I'd come too far to turn back now. The descent seemed endless. The walls changed from concrete to raw stone that shimmered strangely in my flashlight beam. At the bottom, I found myself in a massive underground chamber, at least 50 meters across. This wasn't a laboratory anymore. It was a mining operation. Railroad tracks led to the center of the room, where a drilling platform hung suspended over a perfectly circular shaft descending into the earth. My light couldn't reach the bottom. Around the shaft, I found equipment and dozens of photographs documenting what they'd pulled up from below. Crystalline formations that glowed with internal light. But the later photographs showed something disturbing. The crystals had changed, becoming organic, almost flesh-like, as if they were growing. Then I found the audio recordings. Old reel-to-reel tapes labeled with dates from March 1984. I played one. Dr. Volkov's voice came through, distorted but clear enough to understand. He described the formation they'd discovered at depth. Not a mineral, but something cellular and alive. Something ancient beyond comprehension. He said it was trying to communicate, that the signal wasn't random, but a language. Then his voice dropped to a whisper. He'd realized the truth. It wasn't trying to communicate with them. It was calling something. Something that had been waiting. The recording ended with a sound I can't describe. A deep resonance that seemed to vibrate in my chest, something that no human throat could produce. The next tape was chaos. Screaming, running footsteps, Dr. Volkov shouting evacuation orders. Then silence, followed by that sound again, closer this time. The final recording was just one sentence, whispered in absolute terror. We drilled too deep. We woke it up. God forgive us. That's when my radio exploded with static. The signal I'd been following wasn't a recording. It was broadcasting in real time, and it was coming from the bottom of the shaft. I made the mistake of looking down. For a long moment, there was nothing but darkness. Then, impossibly far below, 2 points of light reflected back at me, like eyes. And they were getting closer, rising up through the shaft toward me. The entire chamber started vibrating. Dust rained from the ceiling, and the temperature plummeted. I ran. Back through the chamber, up the spiral stairs, through the control room. Behind me, I could hear metal shrieking and concrete fracturing as something forced its way up through 40 years of sealed passages. I reached the blast door and threw my entire weight against it. The door slammed shut, and I spun the locking wheel as fast as I could. For a moment, everything was silent. Then something hit the door from inside. The impact was so powerful, it buckled the steel. A second hit, and cracks appeared in the concrete around the frame. I didn't wait for a third. I crawled back through the fissure, through the forest, not stopping until I could see the open sky. When I finally checked my camera, I found something impossible. The footage shows the entire descent, but in the background, there are shadows moving. Things that weren't there when I was filming. Shapes that shouldn't exist. The radio signal stopped the moment I sealed the door. But 3 days after I uploaded this footage, the Russian government declared the entire area a military exclusion zone. No explanation given, no access permitted. And yesterday, the signal started broadcasting again. I'm sharing these coordinates and this footage as a warning. Do not go there. Some doors were sealed for a reason. Project Silent Earth was never about geological research. It was about containment. And I think I just broke it.